watching Season 3 Episode 1. We are checking out cut content video from Echidnut. I wonder if this channel's name comes from Echidna. I'm guessing so. Anyway, so Omega ReZero cut content. Let's jump into it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this guy's channel name is after Echidna, I think. That's so fun. If the volume is too low, let me know, okay?
The final chapter of ReZero Season 2 was cut from the anime
entire
entirely,
chapter?
probably because it would have been one of the biggest cliffhangers of all time.
Oh,
Aside from that, it was also my personal favorite moment in the ReZero novel. Ever since I first read this
I'm guessing the anime fumbled with that then?
chapter, I looked forward to the day I would finally get to see it animated. And then it became cut content. But this chapter will always be special to me, so hopefully this video can serve to share some of that excitement with all of you.
Final chapter of the Sanctuary. Okay.
The last chapter of ReZero Season 2 begins in a dark place with the sound of footsteps echoing through the corridor. Due to the melting snow, the mud and gravel
This is Sanctuary,
were painfully
right?
cold underneath her bare feet, but she continued walking until she reached the outside, seeing the sunlight again for the first time in 400 years.
So the real Ryuzu woke up. Or the original, rather, not real. They're all real.
She expected her reunion with life to be rather moving, yet not a touch of emotion could be found in her eyes. Her lack of amusement was disappointing, yet something that impressed her was how well the reactivation ritual had remained intact. As she adjusts her eyes to the bright sun, she silently applauds herself for the convincing performance she delivered.
Damn, okay.
As expected, her plan was successful. The fact that she's alive again was proof of that. The pink-haired woman appeared uncomfortable in her small body, but knew she would eventually grow accustomed to it. Adapting to things was never an issue for the thirst for knowledge incarnate. Because she was no longer Ryuzu Shima, she decides to call herself Omega, which means the end.
I was gonna say Omega is in the end. But why? Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Very symbolic.
And according to Subaru's memories from Earth, Omega's only regret was not being able to witness Emilia suffering during her third trial. Although she despised Emilia, Omega also appreciated her cooperation. If Emilia hadn't broken the barrier, Omega's half-elf body wouldn't be able to leave the sanctuary. So, for that, she was grateful, but thinking about Emilia made Omega's chest overflow.
But question, was it ever explained why Echidna was talking through Ryuzu's body only in that one moment, or did it happen again in the season 2 sometime and I just missed it?
Flow with emotions, so she ignores them and ventures out through the forest while opening and closing her hands to make sure they're functioning properly. Reflecting back on the final events of the sanctuary, she notes that Beatrice has parted ways with the archive. Roswell has lost his guiding light, and Garfield is still completely filled with anger inside. She looked forward to watching over them, from the sun and in the shadows. 400 years, this world had awaited her return, and what it offered her now was infinite potential to satisfy her inexhaustible curiosity. She picks a flower and pops it into her mouth, questioning why it would someday wither.
Damn, that's poetic. Holy shit. Now I wonder if Ryuzu has a bigger role to play in season 3 after this, right? Because I did not think too much about Ryuzu in season 3. That's why I decided to do extra content before I do my theory video, so we can actually like now kinda you know, put our theory video around season 2 plus the extra content that's gonna be happening. We're gonna see right now, I mean.
Both flowers and memories alike would eventually grow faint, and Omega wondered if perhaps now she'd be able to someday understand. Why must love fade? Once again, the witch was unleashed upon the world.
Oh, okay. So, am I understanding this right? Echidna took control of her. So, oh my god. Wait. Does that mean Shima is basically Echidna? Reincarnated? But what about Roswell Wish? Rose doesn't know that. Or is the witch just a way of speech and does not mean directly Echidna? Damn, I got chills, by the way.
Yeah, so that's how Season 2 was supposed to end. Of course, my garbage video doesn't do it justice, so if you'd like to read the chapter yourself, it's right at the end of Light Novel Volume 15 or right at the end of Arc 4 in the web novel. There's multiple reasons I call this my favorite chapter. Firstly, it gave an additional purpose to all the happy moments in this season's conclusion.
Actually, I did not say it, though I did feel like Season 2 ending was, like, it was sudden, right? You're not really looking forward to any like cliffhanger that like cliffhangers are there for a reason. It keeps the viewer engaged and guessing and looking forward to the answer of the cliffhanger. Season 2 of ReZero, the anime, finished literally as a really happy note of Subaru becoming a knight. And a lot of these questions that were up in air were happening in the earlier episodes of Season 2, right? So I feel like if this chapter was adapted, there will be a lot more hype around Season 3, even though I did not know how the hype was like. I think ReZero has a really, like, a cult fan base, which is not a bad thing, by the way. A cult fan base is not a bad thing. So yeah. Hi, Caribbean.
Of just being there, they also serve as build-up for a shocking plot twist that completely changes our perspective of what we saw this season.
I know,
Echidna
right?
was always the one in control. Everything that happened was all just part of her plan. It was like Subaru and the rest of the cast were just Echidna's puppets who mistakenly thought they had free will. The reason Echidna always looked like she was planning something is because she was.
Yeah.
The chapter also highlighted her curse. For the first time, we got to witness the affliction Echidna suffers from endlessly. The insatiable desire for unattainable gratification forever plagues Echidna, unwavering in both life and death. It's why her second coming lacked any pleasure or joy. Even after being dead for 400 years, almost immediately upon resurrecting.
Yeah, not reincarnating, but resurrecting. That's a better word. And that's basically how she looks like now. So she's called Omega. Not Ryuzu, not Ryuzushima, not Echidna, Omega. I think that name's the end also has a lot of like symbolism tied to it, right?
Life alone was no longer enough to satisfy her. No matter what, she always needs more, and that's what makes her such a perfect example of greed personified. Why Must Love Fade is my favorite quote from the novel because I think it describes Echidna flawlessly. I interpreted love fading as a metaphor for Echidna's fleeting satisfaction. Greed makes it impossible for her to be satisfied, so the reason love fades is because of greed. But the fact that Echidna's asking that question means greed is the one thing she doesn't understand, despite having infinite knowledge. It's very poetic, and this chapter was really the first time the author let us understand a little bit about Echidna. It might have been the shortest, most simplistic chapter of the entire novel, yet I felt it was by far the most impactful.
Yeah,
but for anyone who's wondering how Echidna revived herself, it was the result of two things.
Let me try to guess. The conditions that were set up by Echidna made it so when the sanctuary gets released or the barrier on the sanctuary gets released, she has a chance to go through Ryuzu's original body to resurrect himself. But it had to do with Subaru Emilia and Roswell doing things like how she wants, like she's being like a puppet master and planning.
Let's reactivation ritual that was established even before her death, and Ryuzu Shima accidentally taking the trials 10 years ago. After Echidna's death, Roswell discovered that her experiments were unsuccessful because she was trying to put her soul into an empty vessel. However, if the vessel already had another soul inside of it, it was possible to possess their body by eliminating the lesser of the two souls. Thus, during Ryuzu Shima's trial, Echidna planted a small piece of
that makes sense.
her soul in Shima's body. Ever since then, she'd been slowly taking control of her body until finally she possessed her completely.
That's why Echidna was speaking through Shima, because at that point it maybe already was Echidna, or it was really close to being completely taken over by Echidna.
Which essentially killed Ryuzu Shima. This is why we hear Echidna's voice coming from Shima in Season 2, Episode 24.
I was just asking that.
After possessing Shima, Echidna just needed Emilia to break the barrier to make it safe for her to venture beyond the sanctuary.
Holy moly, there's so many like details that if you blink you miss, right? And there's so much theory potential, right? The fact that like there's so much, there's like I I wanna be humble and say I like catch 40-50% of like theory potentials. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I don't know. But there's a lot more, so I should be even more locked in. You know what I mean? But I feel like if I'm like really locked in, trying to know these details and like trying to know these connections and trying to know this foreshadowing, I kind of miss the emotional part of the story, right? So I try to make it like a balance between being observant as possible, but also trying to enjoy the story at the same time, so I don't get, I don't know, like possessed and trying to like lose control over just details. You know what I mean?
Everything went according to her plan, and she reincarnated as Omega. So
Yep.
far in the novels, Omega has been completely absent from the main story, though I do expect to see her again once we're closer
Season
to the
3?
end. Thankfully, we can
Oh,
follow Omega's adventures by reading
damn.
her series of side stories. They are side stories, so there's not going to be too many big reveals, though I will summarize
Oh,
the first
wow.
one to
By the way, like I can see Echidna's like facial expressions on Shima's face. Like I can tell like Echidna will smile like that and have that like resting, not the smiling face with their eyes. You know what I mean?
at least give you an idea of what's been happening since season 2.
Thank you. This is a really good video. Like
Before she
really
left the
good.
sanctuary, Omega recovered her special mana crystal that contains the souls of all the other witches inside of it. From the crystal, the witches can watch everything Omega does and interact with her too, so these side stories have a lot of funny dialogue. Anyway, she ventures into the forest and beyond the sanctuary, but runs into a
I love funny
life-threatening issue.
dialogue.
Snow is cold and people freeze when they are frozen, so Omega tries to use fire magic to raise her body's temperature before she dies of hypothermia. Remember, Omega used to be a mage as powerful as Roswell, however she just got a brand new body that came with a brand new gate. Because she hasn't yet had the chance to adapt to it properly, the fire magic went horribly
Oh,
wrong
wow.
and caught the surrounding forest on fire.
Oh wow.
Now, instead of freezing to
Burning
death,
to
she's
death.
about to burn to death, and if she dies, then her master plan would all be for nothing. Plus, the other witches inside the crystal would die too, again, or something.
Nah.
Ryuzu's gate wasn't suitable for using water magic, so instead, Omega uses wind magic to redirect
Wait, that
flames
sounds like a
elsewhere.
bad idea.
This allows her to survive, but ends up spreading the fire even more.
Yeah,
After just barely escaping
not
death,
clumsy,
Omega
but need to adapt to the body, right? Skill issue.
felt exhaustion for the first time in 400 years. While she's resting, a group of Omega felt exhaustion for the first time in
She's taken from Zelda.
400 years. While she's resting, a group of bandits approach her with weapons. What a group of bandits might have wanted from a defenseless-looking lolly is up to your imagination, but Omega tells them she'll do whatever they say if they're able to remain standing for the next 30 seconds. Omega then reveals her true form, allowing her soul to visualize behind her. After seeing the face of the Witch of Greed, one by one the bandits drop to the ground, puking their guts out, slitting their own throats, and foaming at the mouths. There were 18 bandits in total, and not a single one survived. Omega
So, oh my god, the body that Echidna uses, sorry, Omega now, right? She can still like put up her soul as well as the Echidna form we see in the tea meetings.
and Greed, one by one, able to remain standing for the next 30 seconds. Omega then reveals her true form, allowing her soul to visualize behind her. After seeing the face of the Witch of Greed, one by one the bandits drop to the ground, puking their guts out, slitting their own throats.
So she can use the soul and everyone else, like people who see it, lose control. Is it just because it's they recognize it's the Witch of Greed, or is it because the visualization of the soul makes them lose control and they want to kill themselves, right? They feel like pain and it's easier to just kill yourself.
And foaming at the mouths. There were 18 bandits in total, and not a single one survived. Omega loots their bodies, finds some new clothing to wear, and then continues her journey as if she didn't just murder 18 people and burn down an entire forest within just 10 minutes of being alive again. That was the first Omega side story, and I thought it did a great job showing how dangerous witches really are. Echidna quite literally just reincarnated, and already she's causing unprecedented amounts of destruction. The following stories aren't quite as...
Oh, now he said reincarnated, not resurrected. I'm not sure what's the appropriate term for this event that happened with Echidna and Ryuzu, right? But I'm guessing Resurrection is actually a more proper way to use it.
Eventful, but
I'm
I'd
not sure
still
though.
recommend reading them because Omega is best girl. I hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoyed this video. I'm also hoping that Omega will get an OVA or something, but maybe I'm just in denial that my favorite chapter is never getting animated.
That's kind of sad, honestly. I feel like if Omega is gonna be an important part of the story in the later novels, because the novels are not finished, are they? How is anime gonna adapt that? Right? Transmigration. Oh yeah, true. Actually, it is transmigration. You're absolutely right, Constantine. Anyway, if they actually do um, adapt it in the future, they have to like change it a lot, right? ReZero has ton of stories that should get OVAs, but probably will never. But why? Why will they not capitalize on the success of ReZero and keep pumping out content for it? What the fuck is the studio doing, man? Okay, I can understand people's frustration around their like favorite animes now, because I get frustration reading about this. They're cutting out cliffhangers because they were unsure if season 3 will come out. Why will season 3 not come out? And you know what I mean? Lack of funding? But okay, lack of funding, sure. But ReZero is very popular. So investors just don't like money? Okay, whatever. Let's talk about the video itself. Anyway, so season 2 was supposed to end with this cliffhanger, but it didn't do it, which I think is one of the best cliffhangers that they could have made to keep up like the season 3 hype, honestly. And it just makes so much sense. It's like insanely good storytelling. I really wish we saw this in the anime, by the way. Yeah, Omega is Echidna reincarnated or transmigrated to Shima's body. Now, I think Echidnut has a really nice way of storytelling about his favorite chapters, so please go check out this small channel of 300,000 subscribers and subscribe to them. Maybe we're gonna watch some more stuff from them in the future, and I can't wait for season 3, so I will check out the next extra content video right now.